Let me say it again. The one thing that we can do this week, in just the next couple of days, to have the best chance to avoid tariffs is to...
Well. Danielle Smith has a plan. Welcome back to Moose on Loose. My name's David. Today's top story here. Danielle Smith unveils the new plan for Alberta. She's doing all the right things here, yet none of the other premiers are following her lead. Not only has she upgraded Alberta's border, she's got a great new plan to actually avoid the tariffs if the Liberals and other premiers would step up and do the same thing. Let's jump into this. So first up, we got this one coming from Nick Nanos on this segment here. We're not going to play the segment. It's kind of boring, but they do show a few graphs here. You can see the Conservatives here continuing completely dominate. There will make it big for you guys to see the edge. So still staying strong here, over 40, about 45%. You can see NDP's gotten a little bit of a bounce here. Liberals still going down. Towards the middle of this segment, they got this graph here, which is interesting. You can see this is a on a scale of 1 to 5, where 1 is not improved and 5 is improved. How would you rate Canada's reputation around the world? So the reputation of Canada was, you can see here, when Stephen Harper left power, it was the highest, and it has only gone downhill. Now it's 4% of people approve of Canada's reputation around the world. You can see here 42% disapprove. So things have gotten just worse under Justin Trudeau. And we've got this one here. You can see the actual numbers, 42% for Conservatives, 24% for Liberals. So you can see a slight bump here of the Liberals going up and Conservatives going down. That's because Mark Carney came in. Some of those voters on the edge there after Trudeau was gone, they didn't like Trudeau. Now he's gone. They've gone back. This was expected. Next up, we got Tiff Macklin here dropping the interest rate once again.
Today, we lowered our policy interest rate by 25 basis points. This is our 6th consecutive decrease and brings the policy rate to 3%.
So note, this will go back up if they start their world event spending 2.0 and start just giving out like $1 billion to whoever for the tariff situation regarding Donald Trump. 50-cent dollar, here we come. So next up, coming from America, we've got bombshell news here. They have come out and said very, very specifically what they want us to do to avoid tariffs. And we've got this guy here first. This is, I believe, a governor of Michigan, and he's talking about how this would be pretty bad for Michigan and the auto industry.
Michigan is the home of the top 3 border crossings in North America. We're 2 of them. And a lot of that are auto parts that go back and forth. It's a highly integrated industry. And our auto companies are very concerned about what those tariffs might mean to cost, particularly to the cost of vehicles. Already, something we discussed, I'm concerned about the high cost of vehicles. Many families can't afford them now. And if tariffs are put in place that deal with that seamless trade that goes on with Canada, that in the short run could definitely have an impact on prices and make cars even more unaffordable. I don't think that's something the American people want to see, but I'm afraid it would hurt consumers as well as also hurt those workers.
So this is interesting. They're really talking about this now. They're getting serious about what may happen if there's counter tariffs, dollar for dollar, all of that. So the next guy you're about to see on screen is Trump's commerce nominee. He's basically the kind of the head point man of this situation. Listen to this. He spells it out very specifically what Justin Trudeau, the Liberals, should be doing.
So the big tariff view is going to be studied, and the president launched that in an executive order where he asked the Commerce Department and the USTR to study the tariff model long term. The short term issue is illegal migration and, worse even still, fentanyl coming into this country and killing over 100,000 Americans. There's no war we could have that would kill 100,000 Americans. The president is focused on ending fentanyl coming into the country. You know that the labs in Canada are run by Mexican cartels. So this tariff model is simply to shut their borders with respect America. If we are your biggest trading partner, show us the respect, shut your border, and end fentanyl coming into this country. So it is not a tariff per se. It is an action of domestic policy. Shut your border and stop allowing fentanyl into our country, killing our people. So this is a separate tariff to create action from Mexico and action from Canada. And as far as I know, they are acting swiftly. And if they execute it, there will be no tariff. And if they don't, then there will be. But it's an action-oriented model. That's not the ordinary tariff. The ordinary tariffs need to be studied and examined, and that will start as the EO said in April.
As I said, this is action-based. Donald Trump wants to see action. He's a man of action. He's been deporting people, putting them on planes, rounding up people. The immigration department's going all around, rounding up all the gangsters. They need to see action on our borders, and we avoid the tariffs. It's been this simple the entire time. He told us at the beginning, and all they keep talking about is dollar for dollar instead of actually just doing something. So something else came out today. Apparently, Justin Trudeau and Liberals, someone in the Liberal Party had a moment of euphoria and decided maybe we should make a video showing all the stuff we're doing. And so I guess they're sending that over to Trump to show him and hopefully convince him. And with that, we've got Danielle Smith also speaking up on this today. Rebel News here saying Fox News got a close look at Alberta's new border security measures, according to Premier Smith, who invited President Trump's favorite news outlets to see a showcase of new equipment the province is using to deter illegal crossings, including Black Hawk helicopter. So this is what David Eby should also be doing, but he's too much of a buffoon. He just keeps threatening dollar for dollar tariffs. And what's ridiculous also about David Eby is John Horgan handed him as like a $6 billion surplus a couple years ago, and now he's running British Columbia at a $9.4 billion deficit. What is he doing with all of our money? Could check the Clean BC program where all that money doesn't seem to end up in clean eco projects. Just saying.
Today, U.S. President Donald Trump's Commerce Secretary nominee, Howard Lutnick, stated during his confirmation hearing that, quote, "If we are your biggest trading partner, show us the respect, shut your border. This is a separate tariff to create action from Mexico and action from Canada. As far as I know, they are acting swiftly, and if they execute it, there will be no tariff. And if they don't, then there will be." Let me say it again. The one thing that we can do this week, in just the next couple of days, to have the best chance to avoid tariffs is to show clear and unequivocal action to secure the border. This should start with the appointment of a Canadian border czar to work with the new American border czar to jointly crack down hard on fentanyl and illegal migrants.
This is such a smart idea. Danielle Smith coming out here and saying we should have an equal border czar in Canada. Do you think Justin Trudeau is going to be doing that? He's too busy sucking his thumb under his desk, not paying attention. He's probably on vacation. Last I saw, he was over in Warsaw, Poland, doing some nuclear deal, gallivanting around.
Is this likely to end the threat of tariffs entirely? I don't think so. I think there'll be other things that we will need to work on, and we will do so. But I am convinced, after speaking with dozens of elected U.S. representatives, administration officials, and the president himself, that this is the most important first step. Today, I reiterated this to the premiers, Minister LeBlanc, Minister Wilkinson, and Prime Minister Trudeau, and I hope it is acted on by the end of this week before February 1st.
You know, if all the premiers did this, our country would have far better ability should a bigger need arise for these measures. Conflict primarily, we are between Russia and America. China is pretty close too, compared to the proximity of states to Russia and China. Much more sensible and better plan than the Liberal NDP crash and burn plan they have. Yeah, like they just want to pull out another World Event 2.0 spending, just completely obliterate inflation in Canada. I'm with Danielle Smith 100%. She knows and understands what's happening, what's expected. She's acting in an intelligent and responsible manner. Sadly, her counterparts are running and covering their butts, worrying about their jobs and giving money away like it's water. I mean, it seems very much like David Eby wants this problem to continue so he can be the guy to fight back and use this clashing as like a reason to try to gather support and rally support, because it seems the majority of this stuff is going through BC down into America. She shoots and she scores. As for border upgrades, there's now Black Hawk helicopters patrolling the borders of Alberta. There's also a $29 million investment here, which has 50 armed sheriffs, 10 cold weather surveillance drones, 4 drug detection dogs. I believe I saw somewhere they added new scanners as well. Where's Justin Trudeau and Liberals' plan? What are they doing? We got one more clip here of Danielle Smith. The reporter asks her about the percentages of the street candy that's coming from Canada, and they're saying, well, the numbers are so low from Canada, it's mostly from Mexico. What's interesting about this is, do they really know? They have their statistics, but really, there's so much stuff coming from China that then gets made here. You gotta think, there's a bunch of these individual products that are flowing down to America as well, not just the final street candy.
When all this tariff talk started, there was a really big effort on your part to talk to Trump, or appeal to Trump rather, about trade deficits and maybe just set the record straight a little bit. Have you tried to do the same thing when it comes to the border? Because anyone can see the stats here, see that most of the fentanyl comes in through Mexico, not Canada, and the same with illegal migrants. So have you tried to appeal to him at all on that front and just say, Canada's not the problem here. The majority of the problems in the States come from Mexico?
If you've watched anything that I've said over the last 2 years, you'll know that I think that illegal drugs killing our people is a problem. The drugs are coming in from somewhere and the components are coming in from somewhere. It appears that much is coming in from Mexico, some of it is coming in from China, and it's killing our people. And so this is why we have been appealing to the federal government to stop their catch and release approach so that we can keep these bad guys behind bars. And it's why we've been shoring up our sheriffs. Not only do we have this interdiction team on the border, but we have as well a fugitive apprehension team. We've got our surveillance team, and we've got SCAN, which closes down drug houses. So we have taken this very seriously for the last 2 years. And I hope that the federal government takes it as seriously as we do. That being said, we've also dealt with it from the demand side. You cut off the supply by going after the dealers, but you cut off the demand by getting people into recovery. And you've probably seen the stats that we reduced our opioid deaths 38% year over year. So
the approach here Danielle Smith is taking is right. This is the way to do it. You got to tackle it on both sides. This whole situation with Trump, it really goes back to the fennel street candy. He's mentioned this before with China. He wants to get rid of this problem in America, and he knows that this has to be nipped in the bud in Canada as well. So really, this is what Trudeau and Liberals should be jumping on. Of course, they're not. They're playing Sudoku or whatever they do all day. Another thing to mention, they always bring up the stats like, oh, it's always in Mexico. But if you look at the stats, even though there's way more people that jump the border in Mexico, Canada has 10 times more really bad dudes, terror lords that come from Canada down into America. It was something like 350 from Canada and only like 30 from Mexico. So despite they have more people, we have more really bad dudes that come from here down there. So looking at the bulk stats doesn't really paint the full picture. Next up, we got more dirty polling data here brought to you by The Onion. What do you know? It's another ECOS poll. They just pull these right out of their butt, don't they? 33% for the Liberals. Really? Federal polling? I don't think so. It's funny. Every single ECOS poll gets people posting this deleted tweet by Frank Graves. This is the guy who runs ECOS. He basically just going on to say he doesn't like Pierre Poilievre. Pierre Poilievre is an acolyte of authoritarian populism, going to make sure you are never going to lead my country. I don't make idle threats. Are we surprised we're seeing dirty polling data like this? Next up, we got a clip here of Melanie Joly. Does this inspire you about the situation with the Donald Trump tariffs? It doesn't inspire me.
Did Marco Rubio give you any definitive information to say whether tariffs are actually happening on Saturday?
So I think that we need to continue to engage. Like I said, Katie, and your colleagues asked me that question a bit indirectly. The ultimate decision maker is President Trump. So I'm staying until Friday here in Washington, making sure that I'm meeting as many people as possible.
Look at the body language here, just slumped over, looking down, just weak and defeated. Come on. All you have to do is secure the border, as Danielle Smith is doing. They got new measures down there. Black Hawk helicopter, getting things done. What are you guys doing? They should be publicly announcing this stuff. They should be saying, hey, today we got new scanners in. Hey, today we got these new this and that and this and that. New helicopters, new guards on duty, whatever it may be. They've announced nothing, and she's crumpling into her seat.
And we're working as a Team Canada approach, and we will have also other ministers coming also this week.
Yeah, other ministers coming. Okay, great. They wanted a trade war so they could have a bailout plane to siphon more taxpayer money in their pockets with zero accountability. Can Liberals embarrass us anymore? First Trudeau, then they send this pathetic moron to represent Canada. This one here is hilarious. Jagmeet Singh posting this letter here, signing it, the whole business, trying to make this look real official. He's blaming the Liberals here, saying the Liberals have the legislation and the funding needed to keep their promises on the dental care and pharmacare. They're late opening dental care to adults 18 to 65. You can see here he's writing this to Mark Holland. More than 1.3 million Canadians have received dental care because of the NDP, and millions more Canadians could finally visit a dentist. Only you are standing in their way, Minister. Your government has the tools it needs to expand, blah, blah, blah. This is Jagmeet's last-ditch effort here to try to get some support before the NDP completely crumble under his leadership. We don't care about this. We want an election. Yeah. Bro, why are you even talking about this? We need the border secured, not your empty nonsense about dental care, especially when your support of the Liberals has destroyed our actual health care. Woo! No one takes you seriously. You've sold your party's reputations for peanuts and promises. At a time when Liberals are falling apart, the NDP has failed to capture any of their supporters. Ouch. We got this one coming from the food professor. It says Trump's tariffs are about redefining the global trade order in a way he believes benefits the U.S. by boosting domestic industries, gaining leverage in negotiations, appealing to his political base. That's it. Even if Canada imposes retaliatory tariffs at 500%, Trump couldn't care less. Listen to American media for 5 minutes, just 5 minutes, and you'll understand. I showed a clip the other day. He was talking about back in the day, 1800s, whatever, where they had all these tariffs and that's all this money was coming in. And they were so rich. This really seems like his strategy going forward. But Trump's a man who appreciates a good deal. Danielle Smith is the one who's taking the right approach. And she's mentioned this multiple times. Hey, how do we increase production to America? How do you guys buy more? You'll make more money off our oil. He's a deal man. If you show him they make more money by doing more business with us, he will take that deal. Next up, we got Danielle Smith on CBC as Mark Slapinski says here, Danielle Smith just backhanded fake news CBC all while rocking gorgeous blonde hair.
If he is determined to put in a tariff to generate revenue for whatever need he has domestically, that just lowers the chance of a Team Canada success in whatever form it takes.
That it will be, because look at what just happened in the last 24 hours in Colombia. Colombia, he threatened to slap on a 25% tariff. And what did he want in return? He wanted them to agree to accept the deportees that he was sending. And when they finally agreed, he took the tariff threat off the table. So that's why I'm saying that we've got a president that we have to find out what exactly it is he's looking for from Canada. I don't know that we've gotten to that yet. I think you get there by having diplomacy and negotiation, and I'm hopeful that we'll be able to have a breakthrough there.
Okay, the Team Canada approach, I want to get your sense of where that is right now, because my understanding is you'll probably have another First Minister's meeting with the Prime Minister on Wednesday. It seems like that's going to be a weekly thing. And you've heard the criticism that you're freelancing. You're the outlier here. Steve Verhoeven, who was one of Canada's main negotiators on NAFTA last time, said that you're essentially undermining Canada's negotiating abilities by sort of refusing to get on board with the all options are on the table line. Where do you think things stand right now, Premier?
I think that we still do have a very constructive Council of the Federation table. We'll be meeting weekly. I'm going to be meeting with both Dominic LeBlanc and Jonathan Wilkinson this week. And my personal view is that you don't talk about these retaliation measures in public. You plan for the worst, but you hope for the best, and you lead with diplomacy. I think we have to wait and see what the Americans do. Are they going to do 25% across the board February 1st? Are they going to do any carve-outs? Are they going to identify particular trade irritants? Or are they going to drop it all together, knowing that we still have an election to go through and a permanent mandate to give to a new prime minister? I don't know any of those things. The factors, in my view, are we can plan for those things, but we can't really know what our response is going to be until we see the Americans' first move. We don't want to be the first mover on this. We want to try to avoid the fight. And so if we can do that, great. And if not, then we'll have to make the judgment at that time.
Alberta's oil can't really be on the table, because if they retaliate with that, then it'll be cutting off the rest of Canada from it. She's been right here the entire time. Someone has a crush commenting on the blonde hair. Could you imagine if politicians were just as smart as her? Diplomacy and clear and concise. This gal is playing with class. There we have it. Can this get any more clear? We have literally America telling us exactly what the problem is and how to fix it. But do you think Justin Trudeau, David Eby, the Liberals, do you think they really want to fix this problem or not? Because the ball is in their court. If they don't step up and fix the problem, clearly they're using this as a political wedge.